Yeah, hi. So this is part two of the Gandolf Staff. You can see I've done a bit more. I'll just explain to you what I've done. So to begin with, we had that white pipe, which I said I was going to score it down, paint it. And what I've done, the upper half of the staff, I used some PVA and some polyfiller and created a few notches. Let me just take you down and show you what I've done. So with the polyfiller, what I've done, I've just made like a hand grip and a small, what looks like a, like a hole in the side. That is for the switch. So I've still got that to put in. And just below there's another hole, which I got a dragon keyring. So with the dragon keyring, I had to cut it, bend it round and fit it in there. So I got that to finish off. All this is dry now. The best thing about polyfiller is that it's very smooth. It can be sanded down and manipulated into all sorts of shapes, and it actually looks quite good. So if I go a little bit lower, that's the grain effect. If I go a little bit closer, you can see, hopefully you can see that there's some grain, and with the different shades of brown, it looks better. It looks like a branch, but it does look rough because obviously there's a lot more to do. But I'd say about halfway there. So the polyfiller's there. There's the hole for the Welsh dragon. There's the hole there for the switch. And as you go further up, I put a bit more polyfiller in, so you haven't got that straight pipe. I'm creating bends, and so it looks more like a tree branch. Now the next step I wanted to do was the top. As you can see, I've done a bit more. There you go. My first thing I did was the crystal, and with the crystal you can buy a mold. Let me just show you the mold. There's the mold there, especially designed for resin. And the resin you can buy in all sorts of quantities. I got a clear cast resin. Just make sure that you buy the hardener, which is down there. And this is a guide. So with the guides, they recommend that, say for instance, there every 100 mils of resin, you use 2 mils of catalyst. That's the hardener. I would suggest using a little bit more, because quite a lot of things affect the drying of the resin, and that is room temperature, the moisture of the room. So I would actually try something beforehand, and see how it goes. Just read up on that, because I wouldn't want you to have a disaster. Okay, I'm just lucky. I've done a few, and I've got the right quantities. You can also add color in it. So after 2 days of drying, the resin hardened, and I don't know if you can see there. There's like a yellowy color. So that's where the crystal is now hidden inside. Just for an extra treat, you don't have to do this, but I did, and that is put some fairy lights in. Now the fairy lights are cheap enough. There's the fairy lights there. You can buy them any store, and what you do, you just crunch them up, make them into a small area so that you can squash inside the crystal. So the idea is that you squash them so that they fit inside there, and then you just pour the resin in around it. As in a Blue Peter, this is one I've done earlier. So this is the same thing, a Gandolf Staff. I finished this a few weeks ago, and similar design. If I go down, you can see where I've put the switch. So let me just switch it on. Got my finger on the switch. Move back up here and watch what happens when I switch this on. There, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Switch it off. Switch it on. Okay, so the electrics is pretty simple. You just have the cable runs down to the switch, which is here, and then the actual battery box is right down at the bottom. Okay, so when you're happy with the resin crystal, and you've got the electric fairy lights in there, and you've got the wires that's hidden inside, then you're ready for the next step. So what I'll do, I'll just leave that now as part 1, and part 3 will be shortly.